Sick of getting blisters? Stop slipping and just be comfortable with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Great fit, great comfort, lots of grip, and an even better price. Available now at puregripsocks.com.
Welcome to episode 2 of Football Boots of the Week, a series where we take a closer look at the week's latest drops in an attempt to keep you up to speed with all the new releases that are happening these days. It's something new I'm trying on the channel, so if this is a series you'd like to see continued, don't forget to support it with a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on future episodes. Also, I've had quite a few requests to bring back Q&A videos, so if you have a question you'd like me to answer, drop it down below and I might answer it in the next episode. Starting with the latest and greatest for Messi, as you can see they do come in a limited collection box despite not actually being limited, and they do include a string bag that is specific to a Messi colorway with his logo in the middle along with the Adidas symbol, royal blue for the bag, light blue for the strings, nothing on the back. It gets a 10 out of 14.1. But more importantly, the boots themselves, known as the Spark Genius, Genius being spelled the Spanish way, and instead of an I-O, they use Messi's number 10. Very difficult to read. I was super confused when I first saw what these were called online. Nonetheless, it is of course an Argentinian themed colorway in the boot that Messi technically wears, although his are heavily modified, the Adidas X Crazy Fast Elite, formerly known as the Crazy Fast .1, but for those that don't know, Adidas recently did a name change across the boards where .1s turned into Elite models, basically opting for the same naming structure for their top-end football boots as Nike. With the colorway itself definitely being on the busy side, but I have to say I really like the thick white border along the bottom and that it really reminds me a lot of the border that we used to get on the OG 2010 F50 Adizero. That white has a little bit of a pearl effect to it, and then of course you get your royal blue across the top of the foot, the lighter blue in the stripes, so you kind of have the home and away kits of Argentina included in the color scheme itself, with a hint of gold kind of dividing the white and blue on the upper. You have the Adidas logo, very small on the side of the foot, the Messi logo even smaller in gold on the top of the forefoot, and then it does just straight up say Messi across the back of the heel. With the sole plate itself also being pretty unique in that it does kind of have this 50-50 split down the middle, where from the outside the sole plate looks white, including the little heel counter clip, and then on the medial side it obviously switches to that light blue, which I personally don't think looks quite as good, but from the bottom it's a pretty cool effect. The plastic plate in the forefoot is a light blue as well, but does transition ever so slightly. Then you have that translucent light blue for the stud tips themselves, with the final detail being on the insole, which is a really cool nod to the 3 World Cups Argentina have won, where you do have Messi as well as the Messi logo written on the heel. But right there you can see the 3 different years Argentina won the World Cup. And there they are, not upside down. And despite what I would argue is a fancier than average colorway, these do retail for the same $260 as every normal colorway of the Crazy Fast Elite. However, like every boot in this video, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of some exclusive SR4U coupon codes via the links down below. But there you have it, Messi's new boots. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Why or why not? Let me know down in the comments. With all that said, Messi was not the only player to get a signature boot this week, because former teammate Neymar, who is currently out injured during the release of another signature football boot, also got one. This being the Puma Future 7 Ultimate FTR in the new Creativity Pack, with a pattern on the surface of the upper along with colors inspired by the graffiti in the streets of Santos, where Neymar learned to be as creative as he is. Aesthetically, I don't think they're bad looking boots. I actually don't mind the pattern. I think what's pretty cool about these in person that you don't really see in the pictures online is that the grip texturing across the surface of the upper, those little squares, actually vary in terms of being translucent as well as orange quite significantly on both the lateral and medial side, which is a cool little detail up close. The pattern itself and choice of colors, I would argue, is pretty unique in terms of a combination on a pair of football boots. However, I do think now the power tape kind of running through the middle of the foot doesn't really match up with the design and kind of breaks up the graffiti look just a little bit. I do like the outline for the Puma logo on the heel of the boot. The FT FTR branding, I think they definitely could have done without, especially on a signature colorway. However, the weirdest part about this being a Neymar boot is you're not going to find any Neymar branding anywhere. Nothing on the upper, nothing on the sole plate, which they've left pretty plain. And then if you pull the insole out, all you have is just more of that graffiti with this kind of light blue color that you don't find anywhere really on the boot other than just subtle hints that kind of blend into the background. And also, just like Messi's boots, these are technically labeled as special edition. However, there's really nothing different about them. They're not actually that limited, and they do bear the normal retail price of regular colorways, that being $240. Not my favorite of the Neymar signatures, but what do you think? Next up, we have what is very clearly not a pair of football boots, but football-inspired sneakers in the Jordan Legacy 312 Low PSG edition. With these Jordan PSG tie-ins not really being a new thing, the whole Jordan brand in the world of football boots originally started with Neymar, and then when he moved to PSG, they really tried to make a push with the uniforms, as they've continued to do this year. I really think at this point, because Mbappe, who's a big player for Nike, is going to be leaving, it looks like, to Real Madrid next season. I'm not sure if that's for sure a done deal, because he's obviously made that promise before, but should he leave, I really don't see why Nike is going to make the same push for all the Jordan stuff with PSG as they've done over the last several seasons. Nonetheless, for a mashup sneaker, if you're not into sneakers, obviously just skip past this part of the video. I actually don't mind these. A lot of the Jordan mashups, quite honestly, can be pretty ugly, but this 312 Legacy, 312 being the area code of Chicago, combines the Air Jordan 1, the Air Jordan 3, as well as the Air Alpha Force, which is kind of a weird one to include there, but it's very clear to see the toe box and the tongue from the Jordan 1, kind of the side profile as well, with of course the outsole, as well as the elephant print from the Jordan 3. You get the zoom unit in the heel, the little tab on the back with the PSG logo, and of course the colorway itself ties into the now fourth kit for PSG this year. A color combo that I really do like the look of. And again, for a Jordan mashup, I don't hate them. They're also relatively reasonably priced compared to Jordan Retros these days, retailing for $145, but knowing that I don't think these are going to sell out, and you'll probably be able to pick them up on sale in just a couple of weeks. Would you wear them? With the final boot I have to show you being the black, white, and Amarillo yellow colorway of the Nike Premier 3, of course a tribute to the OG 1994 Nike Tiempo model that effectively put Nike football boots on the map. Where other than the yellow insole and the yellow sole plate, there isn't really much to talk about regarding this particular colorway. It's pretty straightforward. However, there is a little bit of controversy and confusion around the Nike Premier 3 and the newer colorways, because Nike recently transitioning the Tiempo series away from kangaroo leather and into full synthetic, along with that announcing that they were no longer going to make kangaroo leather football boots. That of course called into question what was going to happen with the Premier 3, because when it first launched, the forefoot and toe box area was made of kangaroo leather. I talked about it in a more recent review of the newer colorways of the Nike Premier 3, but on Nike's own website, they are listing the Premier 3 as a synthetic upper. Is that actually the case? Well, just like I said with those last couple colorways, this still feels and looks very leather-like to me. Even if you look at the edge of the cut itself, it does still look very much like natural leather. Whether or not it's kangaroo leather or cow leather, I have seen some places listing it as cow leather. That is something that I just don't know unless Nike themselves clarify it, and obviously they put a description on their website, but descriptions on websites, even Nike's own website, have been wrong in the past, so I don't see why they couldn't be wrong this time around as well. But realistically, the thing to note is if you are interested in these newer colorways of the Nike Premier, at least this one with the yellow sole plate, from what I can tell, this still feels like leather and generally about the same as the original colorways that were supposed to be kangaroo leather. Whether or not it's exactly the same thing, again, I couldn't really say, but I don't think it feels different. Regardless of all that, if you're looking for a really solid, simple pair of football boots that aren't going to break the bank, the $120 retail price of the Premier 3, even less if you go for an older colorway that's been marked down, it's just a very solid pair of boots for the money.